Good day everyone, you are welcome to this tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do land use land cover classification in Google Earth Engine. This tutorial, I will take it step by step so that you will be able to understand and be able to do it. The scripts I will use in this video is going to be in the description box so that you too can use it and follow suit so that you'll be able to classify your image in Google Earth Engine. I hope that at the end of this video, you'll be able to understand how to do land use land cover classification in Google Earth Engine. So let's get started. So when you open Google Earth Engine, come to platform and click on code editor. Yes, the code editor has been opened. So the first thing to do, let's create the file or the project we want to execute. So for that, come to new and click on file. Then let's give it a name. For example, let's call it Kaduna Land Use Land Cover 2024. Yes, I've given a name to it. Then I'll click on OK. So you can see that the file name has been created. So after we have created our project, it is time for us to add our study area. So in this case, I want to add my study area. So I'll come to assets. I've already brought in the shapefile of my study area. If you don't know how to bring in the shapefile of your study area, in the previous video, I've shown you how to do that. You can watch the video in the description box. So here is my study area. So what I will do, I'll click on it for you to see my study area. So here you can see my study area. So I can close this page. So what to do is to bring in the study area to the scripts. And to do that, come here and click here to import the study area to the script. When I click here, you can see that my study area has been added to my script. What I need to do is to give it a specific name. Let me call it area of interest. So I've given it area of interest, AOI. So the next thing is to add the data I want to use. So we are going to add data. Okay, so to do that, we can come here and search for Landsat. So come here and search for Landsat. Let's say Landsat 8. So you can see Landsat 8 collection 2 Taiwan. So let's click on it. This will load the Landsat 8. Yes, you can see the descriptions of Landsat 8 here. Now what you can do, you can copy these snippets to clipboard or you can import. So let's copy it. I'll copy it. I can close this page. So I'll come here to define my variable. So let's say variable Landsat 8. So I'll paste that snippet I copied. So what I mean is that I want to use Landsat 8 for this very classification. Now the next thing, after you have entered this, is to filter the dates you want to use. So I'm filtering the dates as January 1st, 2024 to October 30, 2024. In addition, we have to filter the metadata. And let me enter the script. So what it means is this. I'm filtering the metadata. I'm specifying the loud cover to be less than 5. Then the area of interest, which I've defined here, is what I brought here. that it should give attention to my study area, which is my area of interest. Then it should also clip my area of interest. So after you have entered this, we have to visualize some parameters. Let's visualize. So let's say variable visualize parameter is equal to so the parameters we want to visualize, we want to visualize band 4, band 3, band 2, and minimum is equal to 0, maximum is equal to 3000, and the gamma we have defined it as 1.4. Now let's try to visualize our data. So for that, I'll enter this code. So we want to view our map Landsat 8, which I have defined here, and the parameters we want to view. We want to view composites as we have defined it here. The band we want to view, band 4, band 3, band 2. So then at this point, click on run to see what we have done. Now if you look at here, this line 19 is not defined, and what that means is this. Let's look at it. Here is the error. Recall that here I put PAR, but here I'm putting PARAMS, so I have to correct that. Yes, I've corrected that now. So let's click on run and see. Yes, it's ongoing. Yes, let me bring this up here. You can see my study area. Let me zoom in. Here is my study area. As you can see, my study area and the true color composite. Now to visualize the true color composite, come here and click on this icon. It will open. Then you can see band 4, band 3, band 2. Now to visualize it, come to this costume, click and choose straight 100% and click on apply. Click close. You can see the true color composite. And of course, you can change it. To change it, come back here, click here. Let's say band 5, band 4, and band 3. Let's see, click on apply. You can see the first color composite. Can close. Here is the first color composite of my study area. So now let's create the training data. Let me bring this here. Training data. So it is time for me to create the training data for my classifications. So let me bring this up here. To do that, you can zoom in to see it properly. Then I'll come here, click on this add marker, then come here and click here. I'll name it as, the first one is water body, and here I'll choose feature collection. I'll change the property, I'll call it class, and the value I'll assign 0. Then water body, I can give it this color. and click on OK. Yes, now let's begin to select training site for water body. So here is water body. Can be selecting it like this. The more points you select, the better. This is water body. And when selecting the training site, of course, you can change the map from terrain to satellite if you wish to. So you can see the water body. So select as many training points for the water body as much as possible. You can see how much I've selected. I've selected about 73 points for water body. Then I can change the background map by coming here and click here. So I've changed the background map. The next thing is to create another layer for another land cover by clicking here. Then I can click on this icon to edit the geometry. So the name will be, let's create for built up. Then I'll click on the drop down here. If I click it and select feature collection, then click on property. Then let's name the property as class and assign value, let's say 1. Then I can move the color to red for built up. You can actually choose any color of your choice. Then click on OK. Then zoom to built up area. Here is built up area, so I will select my training point. So I'll select my training point for built up area. I can zoom in to built up area so that I'll select the appropriate features or appropriate points. So select as many points as possible. Select it across the study area where the feature occur. You can see I've selected about 82 points for built up area. Then the next land cover, I'll click here to create it. Then I'll click here to edit it. The next one, let's call vegetation. So the vegetation is the next land cover I want to create. Then I'll select feature collection. Then click on properties. Let's name the property as class and the value I'll assign 2. Then let's change the color to green for vegetation. Then I'll click on OK. Now I'll zoom into vegetation and pick the points, the training points. This red are the vegetations. So I'll select as many points for this vegetation. And also, more importantly, make sure you select the points across the study area where vegetation occur. As you can see, I will move to where vegetation occur and select my training points. Select as much as possible. You can see it as I'm doing it. Select as much point as possible. Yes, you can see I've selected about 89 points for vegetation. Then the next land cover, I want to create another one. Then I'll call this one bare surface. I'm creating another layer for bare surface. Then I'll click on this drop down and select feature collection. Then click on property. I will name the property as class and value I'll give it 3. Then the color, I can change the color to, let's say, purple, and then click on OK. Then zoom into where bare surface are. Here are the bare surface. These whitish patches, they are the bare surface. So select bare surface, and make sure you select as much as possible as well. Yes, you can see the way I'm doing it. I've selected about 40 points for bare surface, and then the next layer I want to create, I'll click here to edit it. I'm creating for farmland. This is land cover for farmland. Then I'll click on this drop down and select feature collection. Click on property, and the property, call it class, and value I'll assign it 4. Then I can change the color, let's say yellow. I can give it yellow color and click on OK. Then I'll zoom in to where farmlands are in the study area. Here are farmland, so I will pick the training points. In the same manner, I'll pick as many points as possible. It is advisable you select, for each class, select about 100 or even more. So for the purpose of this exercise, I will select as much as possible, and I've selected points for each of the land classes I want to classify the image. So after you have done this, let's go back to our scripts. Then we have to define our variable. So the variable label is equal to class. Then the next line, variable for bands. So I'm selecting all the bands available from band 1 to band 11. Then variable inputs will be equal to Landsat 8. Let me write Landsat 8 correctly. Landsat 8. Let me put L. Yes, Landsat 8 dot select band. So now the next actions is variable training, and our variable training will be our classes we have defined, which is vegetation, bare surface, water body, built up to farmland, as we have selected training points for them. So then print training. Then the next actions, we have to define our sample our sample region. So sample region to create training data and test data. So that's the next thing we want to do now. And to do that, it will be, we have to define our variable. The first variable is training image, which will be equal to input.sample regions. Then the collection will be our training, and the properties will be label. Then the scale is equal to 30 meter. That is 30 meter resolution. Recall that Landsat is 30 meter. Then we print the training image. Then the next action is to define the variable training data, which will be equal to training image.random column, and our variable training set will be equal to training data.filter. What we want to do here is that we want to use 80%, that is 0.8, 80% for training data, while 20% will be used for validation. So for all the training points we've created, 80% will be used for training data and 20% will be used for validation. So after this, we have to define our classification model. Let's say classification model. We have to define the variable for classification model. Then we define the variable classifier to be equal to ee.classifier.smichart.training in brackets training set, comma label, comma band. Then the next actions is to do our classification proper. So image classification now. To do the image classification, let's move to the next line. For image classification, we define our variable as classify, which will be equal to the input.classify, which is this into bracket classifier, which is the classifier we defined above. Then the next actions is to finally classify our image. So classification results, how our results should be displayed. This will be equal to map.addLayer brackets classified. Then the palette refer to the color we want to give to each of the land cover. So for example, blue for water body, red for built up, green light green for vegetation, bed surface, and yellow for farmland. Then the name, output name, we can call it, let's say, Kaduna cover 2024 for proper identification. Kaduna cover 2024. So after we have defined all this, we can scroll up to verify our scripts. Then everything is correct. Then we can click on run to do the classification. So when you click on run, the computation is ongoing. It's just a matter of few seconds. The image will be classified. Then I can come here and uncheck the training points. I can just uncheck everything. Then in few seconds, it will be classified. Yes, the classification is successful. You can see how the image has been classified. You can see it. The script for this very exercise is in the description box. You can access it and use it to practice what you have done in this video. But in essence, this is how to classify or do supervised classification in Google Earth Engine. I hope you like this tutorial. In case you have any question, let's know in the comment section. And if there is any video you want us to do, let us know in the comment section as well. But in essence, this is how to do land use land cover classification in Google Earth Engine. I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching.